Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X-Force number 2, cover dated September 1991. The cover is by Rob Liefeld, and it has an interesting design with this silver ink X, and in the foreground we have Weapon X going up against Deadpool. It's the first appearance of Weapon X in this issue and the second appearance of Deadpool, and in the compartments of the silver X we have cameos of various characters from X-Force and also GW Bridge, the main focus being on Feral here and GW Bridge in these particular compartments. We've also got the packing crates here in the background, and that's something that Liefeld definitely picked up from his reading and rereading of Uncanny X-Men 133, where you see John Byrne make the most of packing crates as a background feature. So the cover captions include Deadpool's back in the corner box and the Blood Hunters here at the bottom, which is the name of the interior story. Let's open this one up to the first page, and the story opens at Port Meniere Shipyards, Anticosti Island, province of Quebec, Canada. And I like Fabian Nicieza, because it's Fabian Nicieza who's doing the scripting here over a Rob Liefeld plot. His tough guy scripting to the opening of this issue, 3 minutes to midnight, time to kick some butt. There's something about that that's just so hilarious. Central Office gives me a party line. The first time I ever heard that expression was in Die Hard, the 1988 movie with Bruce Willis. I think Nicieza is picking up that dialogue from that particular film. I give them the lineup, they give me the score. A shipment of Japanese software earmarked for NATO intelligence research in Manitoba. So this is all nonsense, but it really sets the scene, and I like the way that Liefeld has laid out this particular page, where we've got a close-up here on Weapon X, then we've got a shot where we're looking down from his perspective at the dockyard there, and then we've got an up shot where we see him up on the roof, and we've got Deadpool here in the foreground, and then he's leaping off the roof towards Deadpool, who recognizes him and calls out Kane. So yeah, it's a pretty good opening sequence from Liefeld. So let's turn the page and see what we get next. We get a double page spread here, where our prime image, our anchor image, is bleeding over into the second page. That's pretty cool from Liefeld, and that's our version of the cover now, but from a different angle. So Weapon X says, Deadpool, long time no see, Jawbreaker, but please call me Weapon X. So this is coming in the wake of Barry Windsor Smith's serial Weapon X storyline in Marvel Comics Presents, and Liefeld drawing here on some of the mythos of the Weapon X program, the Canadian Weapon X program that Barry Windsor Smith established and fleshed out in that recent series. It's obviously made an impression on him, and he's bringing it into this particular storyline with the idea that if Logan was the first Weapon X success, quote-unquote success, of that particular program, Experiment X, then where would they be up to in the present day? And this is the answer here. So as I said on the cover caption, where we have the phrase, the Blood Hunters, and that's the title of this particular story. And here's our creative team. Rob Liefeld, ideas and pictures. Fabian Nicieza, words and insomnia. What that says to me is the man was probably getting some of these pages late to script, but I think he does a really good job. I like Fabian Nicieza's scripting on the X-Force series. Chris Eliopoulos, letters and tequila. Brad Van Canta, color art. There you go. So, as I said, there's an establishing of a prior relationship between Deadpool, the mercenary with a mouth, and Kane, Weapon X. Oh, kid, come on. You got to be kidding me. I mean, ain't that gig trademarked or something? So a little comic reference there to Logan as Weapon X. And then we get back into Kane's first-person narration. He says his mouth runs a mile a minute. Some things never change. So Deadpool is running off his mouth there. Not bad, kiddo, but I've had my face busted up by experts and you just don't cut it. Get it? Cut it, I kill me, but first I kill you. So snappy patter there from Fabian Nicieza. It works well, and it flows very well with the imagery in Rob Liefeld's panel-to-panel storytelling as well. And then we go back to the first-person narration here. Don't let him goad you. Do not let him distract you. So Weapon X of a serious cast of mind. Let's continue with the story. Turn the page. And yeah, so you get this particular issue divides into more or less 3 story parts, starting with the first half of the issue focusing on this fight between Deadpool and Weapon X. And as I said, I think that Rob Liefeld does a good job with the storytelling and the fight choreography, and Nicieza does a good job with the banter here, especially from Deadpool. So Deadpool getting socked to the jaw there and saying, "Quit it with the jaw, will you? Had my mouth wired shut for 2 months a little while ago." And then he kicks him in the jaw again with the jaw. So Nicieza establishing that kind of comic patter from Deadpool in his second appearance here, and it works very well. And another page of the fighting between them. So Rob Liefeld probably really enjoying himself with the art here. I don't think that the storytelling is as good on this particular page. Obviously we have our anchor image here and Deadpool's breaking the border. Then we go here with this jagged edged panel, and we're down here for the third panel. There's only 3 panels on the page, but it reads a bit confused because of the similar coloring throughout. So you get a little bit confused in terms of reading this bottom panel where Deadpool is kicking humorously, to me anyway, Weapon X here in the crotch. "I hate this country," says Deadpool. "I've always hated this country. I hated Department H. I hated the Weapon X program. And I hate you, you dirty-nosed, prepubescent punk." That's pretty good. So here's where we get a view of Weapon X, the current Weapon X's enhancements, his weapon enhancements, and one of them is this hand that can fly off his cybernetic arm. So here he says here, he says, "I'm older now, no zits left to pop, so I'm kind of forced to improvise." And off flies his hand, and that takes Deadpool by surprise. And it's going for his throat, grabs him by the throat. That's pretty comic as well. So yeah, with the original Weapon X, you had Logan with his adamantium claws, and this is the new deal for the current Weapon X model. And of course, something that would work well with a toy version of Weapon X as well, and that probably was partly on Rob Liefeld's mind as well when designing the character too. So Weapon X standing over Deadpool here saying, "As you can tell, there's been some improvements since you were a part of the program." And that's interesting too. So it's an indication that Deadpool was part of the Department H Weapon X program. So interesting the way that that the background is being suggested here in the dialogue between the different characters. So Weapon X says, "The game's over, Deadpool. Tolliver doesn't win this one," because Deadpool's there working for Tolliver, this character that's been established now in New Mutants and in X-Force. And Deadpool says, "Well, it's not like we're lovers or nothing. The guy just cuts the paychecks and I cut the throats." But then he's interrupted by GW Bridge. What's he doing there? And he shoots Deadpool just as he's trying to flee in the back of the head. That's an interesting panel there, open border panel. Makes for an interesting layout on this particular page. So Deadpool's down after 10 pages. And I guess that is part and parcel of establishing GW Bridge as a tough character, someone to be reckoned with after his first appearance in X-Force #1. So we're seeing him for the second time, as well as Weapon X fighting Deadpool to a Deadpool to a what would we say, like to a tie before GW Bridge took him out. So Deadpool's carted away. Well, no, he's not actually. So he's lying down on the ground, and then we get this dialogue between GW Bridge and Weapon X, where GW Bridge tells Weapon X that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been asked to bring Cable in. I'm expected to take him down. So now we learn that Weapon X knows Cable, the old man, he says. "I haven't seen him in over 7 years. Not since the last time he pulled one of his disappearing acts." Bridge says when he's caught, he'll wish he'd stayed AWOL. What's he done? I mean, there's no love lost between us, but if he's going to be sanctioned, I'm curious as to why. And Bridge says, "No sanctioning, we just want some questions answered. He's got himself a new little band of merry men, calls them the X-Force, mutant band I gather." And Kane says, "Last I heard, Tolliver had a price on his head." Bridge responds, "Yeah, would have thought you'd have taken Tolliver down by now. Too connected, as many people in Department K and H who'd as soon support him as stop him." So we've got all this implication of departmental intrigue, intelligence, departments intrigue and competition between them going on in the dialogue here between these two characters. I think that's pretty well done. I think Fabian Nicieza is doing a good job on selling this book in terms of suspense, mystery, thriller, action, adventure. It's all coming in here into the combination of art and dialogue. And then they didn't have their eye on Deadpool and he disappears. So he's gone to pick up the paycheck another day. So Kane says that he's going to pass on bringing the old man in, bringing Cable in, and he tells Bridge, bury the past, I have. Next time you want to help me, don't. And Bridge responds, yeah, well, next time at least do your homework and know your opponent has a personal teleporter. So that is how Deadpool got out of there. Now let's see. So here we get into the second half of the book and the second storyline, which is a training routine with X-Force. When I was rereading this before making the video, I thought that this little panel here is still back on the docks with GW Bridge going to his shuttle here hovering above the docks. I feel that it's unnecessary. We could have just switched to the Adirondack Mountains and the X-Force training sequence. No need for that panel up there, I feel, in the storytelling. Nice little anchor image here, almost like what you get for a trading card of the whole of the X-Force team. A good focus here on Warpath and Boom Boom in the foreground. So Domino says to Shatterstar, this is our first field test of this gear. She's got some handy new wrist launchers on her wrists. Yeah, well, obviously on her wrist for launching her time bombs. And she says to Boom Boom to be careful with them in the field. So the exercise is concerns Feral, and it's a game of tag. And once they enter the field, all the individual members of X-Force are on their own. And here we get, this is interesting from Nicieza, this decision to give us the first person narration of Feral as she's watching her teammates and thinking about what she's going to do with them. So she says, Boom Boom, Bomb Maker, Warpath, Strong Boy, Scratch Your Eyes Out, Domino, Soldier, Lady, Shatterstar, MTV Warrior, Tear Your Necks, Taste Your Hot Blood, Cannonball, Human Rocket, Rip Your Heart Out, Cable, Leader, I'll Just Bat You Around Like a Big White Rat. That's hilarious. I love it. I think that that's great dialogue and characterization of Feral and her punning feral nature as well. And here the team sets off. That's a good page by Liefeld. I like the coloring too by Brad Van Kanta on that particular page. And here we go. So Feral's hiding up in the tree and she jumps down on top of Cannonball, who's supposed to be invulnerable when he's blasting. And she thinks to herself, sorry, Sammy boy, but it's time to show exactly who's the hunter and who's the prey. That's a nice sequence from Liefeld there. So she drops down on top of him. She's blindsided him and he asks her, where'd you come from? And she says, the Bronx. Question is, where am I going? Answer, anywhere I want. So Cannonball is en route to blasting into Warpath, knocks him into the tree, and Feral leaps off in time and says, idiot, think you're going to grab me that easy? To Warpath, he was going to grab her off Cannonball's back. This is an interesting choice by Liefeld to have her face in almost full silhouette, just with her lips and teeth, her fangs showing there. It's quite effective, I feel. So let's get past these ads, back to the issue and the story itself. So that's taken out Cannonball and Warpath together, but then those time bombs are thrown at Feral. And so here we get another decent look at Boom Boom's new costume. And she says to Feral, surprised, kitten, wrist attachments. They let me launch my time bombs. So Feral's impressed, not bad. And Boom Boom continues, yeah, they clash with every outfit I own, but what the hey, they work. Game's over, don't go hacking up a furball or nothing. How about I hack you instead, says Feral as she leaps at her. I like that banter from Fabian Nicieza. And this, the storytelling, the dynamic anatomy on this particular page, pretty well done. And I even like the inking there as well by Liefeld, that thick marker he's using to delineate the bark on the tree trunk. That's effective. So he does well with a simple background, like a background in nature. I think that suits his talent level and drawing ability at this stage of his career. So good looking pages on this second issue of X-Force. And let's see, where does the story go now? Another well colored page. I like the coloring on this particular page. So Feral and Boom Boom are going at it. Feral gets the best of Boom Boom and sends one of those time bombs off the wrist launcher straight at Cable. That's a nice anchor image there on the page with Cable breaking the panel borders. Domino is there getting kicked in the abdomen by Feral, and she's about to rip her throat. She's got her what would I say, restrained with her tail as well there. That's pretty cool. And Domino says, "Easy girl, you're carrying the exercise too far." Let's continue and see what happens. And then you've got Shatterstar. So at this point, Shatterstar was a fan favorite. So you've got a nice anchor image there of Shatterstar. It looks well in that particular image. And he says, because she knows Domino, she knows as well as I do, war is a game, of that there is no doubt, but not one to be played for fun. It is a game to be played for victory and honor. And Feral responds, everyone's got their own dictionary then, tons of buns, because I play the game for life and death. Even better, Wild One, he says, what say you play with me? So there's a little bit of chemistry between Shatterstar and Feral, because both of them have that kind of bestial warrior nature. That's a very cool close-up on Shatterstar's face there. Liefeld enjoying doing all the hatching on that particular face. And just the way that those eyes are so far apart on either side of his nose makes, there's a kind of a Barry Windsor Smith style to the eyes there in that particular image. At least it strikes me that particular way. This is a great shot of Feral leaping at Shatterstar. That's nicely done. So Liefeld, when he's got the time and when he's got the interest, can draw pretty decently at this stage in his career when he's not rushing. So they fight here, a good 2-panel page, another 3-panel page, and Fabian Nicieza giving good banter dialogue between the pair, not slowing things down with narrative captions, so letting the art and the action flow, and I like that. So Shatterstar hits Feral in the jaw with the blunt side of his blade, and then that enrages her, and she leaps towards him here. And Shatterstar says, what is the saying on this world of barks and bites? And then Cannonball intervenes, and he separates the two, but Feral is got a bloodlust up, and she rips his abdomen with her claws, and he drops to the ground unconscious. So now Cable is aghast and says to Feral, are you out of your mind? Boom Boom sees that Cannonball is in bad shape, so orders that the med lab be prepared. And what happens here is interesting, that Cable uses a what would we say here, a stun dart to knock Feral unconscious, to put the cat out for the night. Warpath wondered whether he'd killed her. No, but he probably should have, he says. So Feral really lost control in that training sequence. But again, this is part of the what would we say, the representation of X-Force as a more hardcore team than any of the other X teams in this era, whether it's the 2 X-Men teams, Blue and Gold, about to launch in the subsequent month, or the relaunch of X Factor as well. So Cable here, some self-recriminations because Cannonball's losing blood, says of himself he's an idiot. I didn't prep the short-range teleporters. We have to carry him back. So let's stop standing around whining about it and move out, says Domino. And then the scene switches to Manhattan and the World Trade Center. And this is the third part of the story of this particular issue. And we have a first-person narration here, and we'll see who it is who's speaking here after we turn the page. So he told me that they spent all night prepping the equipment they would need. That's why he left himself get hired by Jankos to begin with. Why he let himself get hired by Jankos to begin with. She had the material and the scientists he needed to bring me back. All she wanted out of it was help in raising the cash to keep her company afloat. And here, Black Tom Cassidy says, "We're almost ready, Ariana." That's Ariana Jankus. "In all ways, Tom, Jankus has fulfilled their part of the bargain. The interdimensional locator and teleporter is just what I needed. And finding someone to kidnap the heads of all the companies trying to buy me out was what I needed." So Black Tom says, "A marriage in spirit, if not in body, dear Ariana." So we saw all that set up at the end of the previous issue, X-Force number 1. Something to note on these 2 pages here is these are not Rob Liefeld inks. These couple of pages are inked by Erik Larsen. And you can see certain distinctive features of Larsen's style, such as the way that the buildings are rendered, a little bit more detailed than you would get with Rob Liefeld rendering of buildings, especially in this particular panel here, but also the way that you've got these hatch marks around the nose as well, the bottom part of the nose, here and over here as well. Yeah, distinctive of Larsen, and also the use of screen tone here on the underside of Cable's jaw, distinctive of Larsen in this particular period. Yeah, so Erik Larsen inking these couple of pages, and they look good for it. So Liefeld and Larsen make a good penciling inking team, in my opinion, in this era. So back to the story. This piece of machinery hums up, and the first-person narration, the mystery first-person narrator, we'll find out who it is shortly. That's when my stomach started doing flip-flops. So who could that be? Then we switch back to X-Force headquarters. That's a nice down shot on Cannonball. He's bandaged up there in the med lab. And Domino says, the Cable here says, "Computer, patient's condition. Just ask it if I can get up now." So Cannonball is conscious. And Cable says, "Up, but not about. Fair enough?" And Cannonball responds, "Yeah. Don't think I could walk anyway. She tore out my guts, sir." "I know, Sam. I'm sorry. You and me both. What are we going to do about it?" "I don't know. Farrell's as much animal as human," he says. "She was only doing what comes naturally for her. The question is, should that come naturally for us as well?" So again, that thematic in terms of how hardcore, how tough, and to what degree is X-Force going to become a killing X-Men team. Then we're back to the World Trade Center a few minutes after this particular sequence. And we're coming to the big reveal. This is still Erik Larsen on the inks here. And Black Tom Cassidy says, "Come on now, boyo. Come back to your old friend, Black Tom." So who is Black Tom Cassidy's old friend? I like this sequence here, where we've got the panels getting larger, and then we've got the jagged-edged panel at the conclusion of the sequence. Good sound effects from Chris Eliopoulos as well. This is a nice page of storytelling, and now we get it, the reveal of who Black Tom Cassidy is bringing back and who our first-person narrator is. Turn the page, double page spread, got to flip it over to the side. That's a great shot of Juggernaut. So whatever you think about Rob Liefeld's art, you got to admit he did a great Juggernaut in X-Force 2, 3, and 4. Really good work there. I just feel that this little panel here, it's unnecessary. We don't need that. If I was the editor on the book, I'd tell Liefeld to remove that. Just focus on Juggernaut here. So the Juggernaut is back, and Black Tom Cassidy says, "And just in time too, boyo, we've got work to do." So next issue, Twin Tower Takeover, guest starring Spider-Man. Very cool. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on X-Force number 2. This was perfect comics for teenage boys, like boys 10 to 14 back in the day. Were you one of the readers of X-Force back in the day? Did you enjoy it? What do you think of it now, returning to this particular issue, looking at it perhaps as an adult decades later? Let me know in the comments to this video review. If you enjoyed my video review, please like it on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.